Welcome to another edition of Douglas on My Mind, and once again, my name is Terrell Jacobs, City Manager of the City of Douglas, and we're here today to talk to somebody that everybody in Coffee County knows, but she's here in another capacity. She's going to be talking about something that's dear to her heart, and I hope that she doesn't cry on me. We've already established that during the break, but we're here with Joanne Lewis, and she's going to be talking about still waters, and we'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to more Douglas on My Mind, and as I stated before the break, we have with us Miss Joanne Lewis, and she's here in another capacity. She's here talking about her ministry, and I'm calling it ministry because it's a God thing.
It is a God thing,
It is
Terry.
a God thing. We're here talking about still waters, and I want to give her the opportunity to kind of talk about the kind of vision and the thought process behind how this came to be, because I think it has a great beginning, and I hope it will continue and be blessed thereafter, and hopefully benefit a lot of people in Coffee County and the surrounding counties as well. So tell us a little bit how you got started with this vision.
Okay, Terrell, it's kind of different from anything I've ever been involved in or trying to get something off the ground floor, because I didn't plan it. It came to me. The background of Still Waters is both in my personal life and my work. I've seen the challenge that drugs bring to a community, whether it's in your family from personal use, which I've experienced through family members, or whether it's in the workplace in the community. Drugs just tend to destroy what we try to build up.
Yep.
It's hard to find employees. Our employers tell us it's hard to find people that'll pass a drug test, and then, you know, my own children have struggled at times with drug addiction. And people ask me all the time, why do you say that? Why do you admit it? I truly believe if we're honest, we can help other people.
We can help other people as well.
And it's a rough road, and so I'm very passionate about the people that experience that pain. See, I told you I'd probably cry. At work, I've always been a person that could plan and implement a program and have a pathway for success. This was truly a God thing, and I am always humble when I say that, because I think anybody that knows me, I don't profess to be a Christian sitting on a pedestal that doesn't have to confess every day, God forgive me for my sins and help me do better tomorrow. But I happened to live by a piece of property that was actually in foreclosure, and for some strange reason, every time I passed that property, I started to cry and had a just weird sense about it. And I was talking to my son about it one day, and he said, "Mom, you need to stop on that property and pray." And I did. And God spoke to my heart that we needed that property for a Christian women's ministry center for drug addiction. And I fought it for several weeks, because
Most of us do fight what God tells
I
us to
fought
do.
it for several weeks, and I could spend about 3 hours telling it all the things that was revealed to me in that time I was fighting. But finally I gave in to it. I was fortunate to I had a piece of property that I sold. It's nothing about me, but I sold, and I really wanted to retire early, Terrell. And wasn't that much, but enough I could take a trip and maybe.
God worked it out for us in another way too, didn't he?
I think God wanted me to keep working. I don't know, but anyway, I had a little bit of money that I could put into this property, and actually did buy it. It had a house, shelter out back that had been used for an office and a workshop, and it was on 11 acres of land, and I had no idea. I just stepped out on faith and actually told God, here I am, I'm doing it, now what's next? Had no plan of action, had no idea how to raise money, how to get it started or anything. And it's amazing what God can do when He's involved. Help just kept coming. I purchased it back in July of 2014 and really didn't say anything to anybody. Word started getting out in August, but my name wasn't attached to it, which I never wanted it to be. But then sooner or later, people put it together, and through God's glory, help started coming. I had hoped to open the first house and be able to house about 8 girls by December. And I knew that was stretching it because the house needed work, needed furnishing. I mean, it was just a piece of property. But God showed up and showed out, and donations started coming in. By December, in fact, the second week of December, not only did we open the first house, we had completely renovated the back work area into a home and a small chapel. And we were able to open our doors for beds for 15 women and actually have a chapel to worship.
Wow.
And still, we haven't done a fundraiser. People just hear about the ministry and they help. We have so many local churches that support us monthly, as well as individuals.
Wow.
And not only financially, volunteers, furnishings, everything that you need to get the place open. And we're open and we're full.
Wow. Well, obviously, you know, one of the things that you mentioned is such a challenge for us all. And I don't mean this to be a religious program, but I will tell you this, is we just have to speak to what it is. And often we run from what God gives us vision and forethought to deal with, because we don't, that's a little hard.
It is hard.
And, you know, it's
Every
easy.
day.
It is, that's right. And we all struggle. I know I struggle with that, because obviously, you know, His purpose is not sometimes something that we think that is our purpose, and we try to avoid it at every cost. But I'm glad that you stayed there, and I'm glad your son gave you the advice. Just go pray about it on the site and let him talk to you and let him give you that sense that you need to be nudged a little bit to move on with this. And you know, we were talking at the break about, you know, the situations, and I know when I moved here to Coffee County almost 8 years ago, believe it or not,
Gosh,
time
it doesn't
flies,
seem like it.
I just speak to what it is. I didn't know a whole lot about Coffee County per se. I'm originally from Blackshear, Georgia, so I knew of Coffee County because I'm from South Georgia as well, but did not know enough about it as far as a community or whatever, Douglas, so forth and so on, living in Metro Atlanta. But one thing, I hate to say negative thing, that stood out when I would mention Coffee County. Well, they say that's where them drugs are grown at, and that's where them folks down there get away with. I said, what? So it already had some type of negative connotation in regards to drug activity and drug growth and all this other stuff. So, you know, obviously trying to change that perspective and how many lives of people it impacts, drug on a daily basis. It's just so phenomenal.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah, so we, you know, having these type of places, I know a lot of us think, well, you know, well, just lock people up and, you know, let them do the time. Well, that's not going to help them, because it's more than just a criminal situation. It's more of a psychological, and I believe
It's
also
a community tragedy.
Yeah, it is, because it touches so many lives, and then it impacts people in so many different ways, financially, spiritually, emotionally, all those things. So I believe some of the work that y'all going to be doing at this ministry is hopefully going to help restore some of that and get people in a position that they can transition back in some shape or fashion. So we want to talk a little bit about what's going on at the ministry.
Yes, we're actually a two-phase facility, minimum 6 months to up to 18 months. Phase one is our newcomers to the program, and they're under much stricter rules than those that have been there a while. We get them into Christian-based study as well as 12-step study. And we try to get them to thinking right again. You know, when you've been on drugs a while, it takes several weeks to get your head clear and back thinking. Another thing we try to do is get them ready for the workplace. And so in phase 2, we like these girls to be ready for the workplace. We actually transport them to work and pick them up, so they're going to be on time and they're going to go to work. And actually we've only been open since December, but we actually have 4 young ladies in the workplace, and their employers brag on them all the time. So we're real tickled about that. But, you know, one of the biggest challenges I found with dealing with drug addiction is you can get somebody off drugs, they can become sober, they can have their sobriety, and then they go back out in the real world, and we tell them, find new friends, don't hang out at the same places, you got to find a new path. But once they come back into their community, you know, honestly, it's like they have leprosy. Nobody wants to be around them, they don't want to hire them. You know, there's just a vicious cycle. So one thing our program really focuses on is bringing the community to Stillwaters and taking Stillwaters to the community, because we want these women to know quality citizens when they leave. They have built relationships with the community, so it is easier for them to find jobs and become productive citizens. So we're all about sobriety and getting the women clean, but we're also more about getting prepared for the workplace.
Right. And that's such a critical thing. And, you know, often, and I'm just going to be a little chauvinistic perspectively here, but more so we focus more so with the males in regards to drug addiction, because quote unquote males traditionally have been the head of the household, the primary breadwinner. So you figure as a society you work on the male, and hopefully you can restore some of the family to some degree. And I can appreciate that, but there's a lot of females that are struggling.
That's right.
And mothers as well, respectively of that. And you know, such a critical thing that we have overstepped for so long. Matter of fact, there's a couple of these similar ministries or agencies here in Coffee County that focus on males. We've never had one that focuses on females.
No, we haven't, and we need it. We really do need it.
Right. So obviously one of those situations. Oh, Johnny tells my mic has gone out. Are you still hearing me now? Okay. All right. We will clip it back on.
Yeah, we don't want to miss what you're saying.
There you go. So, you know, one of those critical things, I think a lot of times that we don't sometimes understand where we need to put the next effort and focus until it gets to be critical mass. And I know one of the things that I've seen here, and not just with here in Coffee County, but throughout the state, one of my previous employment, people say all the time, how many jobs did you really have? But one of the blessings that I've had was I was a probation officer. And one of the things that I saw, I had quite a bit of females on my caseload. And one of the biggest challenges with drug addictions and that getting over, it creates that sense of self not worth in regards to that, and a lot of decisions that they make really are disastrous or challenging at best when they're under that in that situation. So I found when I was trying to counsel, talk, and whatever, very challenging hurdles for them to get over. And society probably looks at females a little bit more, shall we say, more
it's more critical.
They're
the mothers.
They are, and we probably don't really appreciate what we're doing at times when we're being as critical as we are. But it is putting that black label or that that Charlotte's
Charlotte's Web or something.
Oh, God, we're having a moment here.
We're having a lot of those. We have senior moments.
We're having a senior moment, but the Scarlet Letter,
Yeah.